Hello, and welcome to the third and final round coverage of the Waco Annual Charity Open. My name is Big Jeremy Koling, and I'm joined here by my good friend, James Conrad.
Hey guys, I'm James.
We're going to be filming this really exciting last round here. It's a tight battle. On the lead card, we have 3 strokes separate first through third, or through fourth, and then we've got James Conrad on top of second card, who's tied with Greg Barsby, 3 strokes back. It's gonna be an exciting round. This was the calmest conditions of all 3 rounds. What were you thinking going into this hole?
I was thinking I definitely want to get the birdie this time. I skipped out of bounds the first 2 rounds. Wanted to keep it in bounds and start off with the 2.
Yeah, I did pretty well on this hole. I took a different route on this one. This seemed like a pretty obvious backhand hyzer, but something about that Nate Sexton Firebird was really working for me this week, and I knew that wall was there to be my friend, and if I kept it low, I wasn't going to skip over it, and so that was my play, and that was the only time I actually hit the wall, but it put me pretty close to the basket. So
yeah, it looked like I kept you in there nicely.
Yep, only a couple feet away from birdie. And this is the first time Ricky was actually outside 2 feet from the pin, so this is a little bit different start for him. He had no tester little tap-ins a couple rounds before. And that's the most overstable thing I've ever seen in my life. That was a metal flake PD2 that Simon was throwing there. I had him try out one of my Luster PD2s in practice. I asked him if it was too overstable for me, and he laughed at me. And he let me try the PD2 that he was throwing, and I was like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, those metal flakes go hard. And then Barsby got maybe a little bit too much air underneath the disc, and
just out of bounds.
yeah, just caught the top of that a foot lower, and that would have hit the hill and probably rolled back down and been parked. But yeah.
The nice thing about that hyzer is that it gives you a good look at circle 3, though, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly. You have a little bit of experience with that, don't you, James?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, you made that putt twice this tournament.
I did, yep. Just like Barsby did there. That was nice.
It's a good tester putt. You know, you don't want to leave that one short. A little downhill putt's quick, and you know it's a good one to make. Even though it's for 3, it's a good feeling to get that first putt under the belt.
Just like you and Simon tapping in the easy birdies there.
Oh yeah, you look at that hole and it's pretty simple, but I mean if you miss that one, it's you don't feel great about it, but you know it's a good thing to get that one under the belt and get the round started the right way.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say hole 2, even though it's actually course hole 8. This is what a beautiful, just enough trees to keep you honest.
Right, you can't just go full power, you can't unleash.
Right.
You do have a little bit of OB right to worry about, so you want to make sure it's a ready backhand, you keep it on a hyzer.
Mm-hmm. Yep, first round I actually almost turned mine OB over the wall, and it just barely came back.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, this time I was a little bit too low, kind of not the best footing. My feet just kind of got a little bit under. Thank you.
Still should be in a decent position though.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the fairway.
From there.
Right. This is the open side of the course, and while you do have some trees, you still have the, you have enough open lines. You should be able to find a way to get up to the green. And Simon did the same thing I did. We both kind of
very similar, a little low.
Trying to stay away from that headwind a little bit, and we both threw it low, and Ricky kind of figured out how to throw it a little bit higher and got way down there. It was a great tee shot.
Yeah, being on that left side's not bad at all. It gives you a decent angle up at the pin.
Right. And no matter where you are on this fairway, you're gonna have to focus on avoiding 1 or 2 trees. Barsby just barely missed that one.
That's the one to miss, though.
Yep, you miss that one, and you're way down there in the middle. Yeah, so no matter where you are, you're gonna have to try to avoid a tree. But for the most part, it's just you just want to keep it up in the middle somewhere and
put yourself a look at it.
Yeah. That's it. A great shot there from Simon. Just inside the circle. His putting was pretty great all weekend, and anything inside the circle was pretty much guaranteed for him.
Oh, nice. Looked like that one was a little low out of your hand, too.
Yeah, 2 in a row there. Just, again, trying to avoid that headwind. Don't want to leave anything high and let the wind push it. And just didn't quite trust my my Firebird to do what it's got to do. And
Ricky shot was looking great there. Just caught some branches, checked it up a little bit.
yeah. That's
Just textbook upshot right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
That's what I like. That's why I use my Nova. I like those little 80 to 100 foot floater bids. It's one of the best jump putt discs I've ever used. And this putt was, as this was the calmest round we played in, but there was a good bit of headwind you can see there.
Yeah, I see the flag blowing right at him. That's a solid putt.
Yeah,
just outside the circle. That's nice.
There you go. Simon's just almost perfect. I think I talked to him last night, and he told me he may have only missed one inside the circle all week.
Oh wow, that's really good.
Yeah, his putting was great. He just had a few different, some issues in the woods. He's still getting back into the swing of things with his injury and all that. But he said he's not willing to say ready to say he's back after his great finish at the Memorial. I think he's back. I mean,
it's looking like it.
Yeah, his timing is, of course, is going to take a little bit of time to get back to the Simon that we knew a couple years ago. But
for sure,
he's still got the talent, and he putts the freaking disc in the basket, man. He is one of the best putters you're going to see in the game. So Simon was calling this the wide hyzer, the Simon route.
He named the route after himself?
Yeah, he did. What do you think? I mean, I saw James go the Simon route.
I felt like it was the safest shot on that hole. Worst case scenario, you might be a little bit outside the circle, but there's really nothing to hit coming in on the big hyzer line like Simon's throwing right there.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I ever saw this line was during the round, and then seeing the drone footage, I'm like, wow, that thing is really wide open.
Oh, wow, that was a great shot he threw.
Yeah, the only line that I saw was the through the trees line. Everyone else is just going wide hyzer. There's no trees in the way there.
There's no trees in the way.
That's like clearly the shot now in hindsight.
With the wind, it can get a little tricky. There's a headwind a couple of the days, so
sure,
the wind will lift that hyzer up and carry you wide. Or
yeah, but now Barsby speaking my language there. That's what I'm talking about.
It is a nice flick line there.
Yep, taking an open hole and bringing the woods right back in play. A little bit of slip. You couldn't really see there, but my foot kind of slipped a little bit forward. But
I think it still worked out just about perfect. I almost hit the pin there.
Yeah, I think I'll take that. That's no stress putts are way to go. There's another solid putt from Rick. Which is
very solid.
Come to be expected from that guy. He's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Did you know he won the World Championships last year?
I was aware of that.
It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. One time. He's gonna finish his career with a few more of those, I assume.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against it.
Well, unless he plays us in the woods, I don't know. Maybe I think we might be able to hold our own there.
I think we might.
These are my favorite putts right here.
Boom, just drop it in.
Yep, no chains.
That was a nice star frame for you guys. All four, you put it right up there.
Yep, two Simon routes, and like we'll call it two Barsby routes since he went first. He went first, so even though I was gonna do it, I took his line. So I mean, this is a shot I saw you playing really well all weekend. This is a really demanding tunnel shot that your tee shot. It's not about distance. It's just about putting it in the right spot. And what were you going with off the tee here?
This hole, I was throwing a KC Pro AVR. I like throwing putters. They're one of my favorite discs to throw, and really what it comes down to on this hole is hitting that initial gap. I like to go just left of that tree in the center with a little bit of hyzer, and
yeah,
if you get around that bend at all, it'll skip into a nice position. It's a short hole, so you don't need much distance to have a good look at birdie. And
I'd say you need maybe just a little bit more distance than what Simon got there.
Yeah, yeah, that's the tree to miss, but
yeah,
it's right there in the way.
We're making this look pretty easy. And this one, I just early release and got a good kick though. That's in the middle's great. You're not really looking at that great of a shot at birdie, but it's better than a kick into the woods. That's definitely for sure. That's a good recovery shot. Still not quite in the fairway, which is you really need to be in the fairway in this hole. Just off to the side is not good enough. I mean, you can see there from Barsby's lie. It's just if you're one step in these woods, you are in a bunch of trouble.
Absolutely.
And this is about as tight as I really was willing to keep that shot. And
That was solid from back there.
yeah, you know, if I'd just been able to throw it just a bit tighter, I may have had a more open look at the basket. But
Still got up inside the circle too, it looked like.
yeah, I'm looking at it from about 40 feet or so. And Ricky just barely caught the edge of that tree.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
he
he'd
would
have been up there putting for his birdie 3. And for only 441 feet here, I mean,
It's not an easy birdie. It's
No,
not even
it's
an easy
not.
par for
I only
being 440.
I only saw you birdie this one in the second round, and I got a birdie the first round. Those are the only 2 birdies I saw all week.
Oh wow.
And you know, you think about just accurately throwing 220-foot shots. It doesn't seem that hard, but the actual execution of those 2 shots has proved to be very difficult. And I wanted to go for this putt so bad.
Oh, that's a death putt though. There's that hill leading down right behind it.
I know
Scary.
that's a practice round fun bid, but that is
Right.
not a tournament run right there. That's an obvious layup.
Especially with an obstructed lie and from the shul a little bit.
And that there was, you know, you couldn't really feel the headwind. You can't really see it in the video here, but there's a good bit of wind. You can see the leaves moving a bit there, and with that death putt, you know, 28 feet for Simon to make it his 5. That was a really
big,
solid
yeah.
putt. You
That
miss
was
that
nice.
putt, and you go in the water, or you go down the hill, and you got a bad lie, and you're looking at a
blow up
7.
real quick, yeah.
Yep. So that was a pretty clutch putt there from Simon. And a couple good 4s as well. You know, you don't really feel that bad about a 4 in this hole.
Right, especially if you don't have a perfect tee shot.
Yeah, if you're out of position, 4 is just
good.
fine. Absolutely. All right, here we are, hole 11. This is just, man, this is North Carolina golf, Virginia golf, East Coast,
For sure.
baby. This little uphill fairway, and just keep it tight and down the middle, and you're going to be looking at birdie.
Yeah, got a good shot at it. It's a little bit of a low ceiling going uphill, which always plays a little tougher than
Yeah.
a wide open ceiling or anything like that. But
Yeah, it's a nice little tunnel shot. Got to keep it low, straight, and I think Ricky threw a compass here, or no, he actually threw an anchor here, which is a new disc for me to see him throw, and I guess it's a new disc from Latitude.
that forehand up the gut seemed pretty popular in this hole. I saw a lot of people throw it pretty well.
Yeah, and there's that was Barsby's eagle that he was throwing real nice, and
Oh yeah.
did the same thing I did from round 2, just caught the top of that green, and just, yeah, it's a pretty fast green up there. Through eagle, I kind of learned from the day before to throw a little bit softer. Got a nice little tree kick there and put me in position.
Yeah, catching that last tree isn't too bad. It's well inside the circle.
That's right. And that was actually an FD that Simon threw, which I was really surprised to see him throw a fairway driver on that shot.
Yeah, me too. I threw a very similar line with I threw a rock plus on this hole, and
Oh, did you?
It worked out really well. Yeah, got it right under it on this one.
That was
Just off the band.
uncharacteristic from Rick. You know, I mean, you just very rarely ever see him miss putts inside the circle. And it was an opportunity to get another stroke on the person who I kind of thought would be the most dangerous from the card, and you know, I definitely had to take advantage of any situation that you get when Ricky gives you an opening. You have to go through that door.
You have to take it. Yeah.
Yep, because you know he's going to be there in the end. He's going to put some birdies together, and he's going to make some putts, and you know, you can't really take anything for granted with him.
No way.
Hole 12 was, man, that was just a hole that I thought was going to be a no-brainer 3 for 3 birdies for me on this one. This is just
It's just great for just a smooth little
Yep.
flick right through the gap.
it's a
Fades
standard
down towards
little
it.
sidearm down the gut, and no problem, get your birdie. And this hole's tricky, you know, and there's just enough technicality to it to enough trees right in the way that you want to throw that makes it pretty difficult. But maybe we can hit this line today. Or maybe not.
Just a little wide.
Yeah, it was close. It was close.
It was close.
And this was when Simon started doubting his backhand.
Yeah, that looked like a misfire for sure. He was going for the little turnover down the gap, but a little bit of grip lock.
Yeah, he had his early release on 10 and his early release here, and at this point he said that his backhand was broken. So
Broken.
Yeah, we're gonna start seeing some more sidearms from Simon, I think. This is a really good looking shot, and right there at the
just
end,
caught it.
I didn't see it hit that tree, and I was at this point I was giving Barsby a high five for a nice shot, and he was just sitting there motionless, like, I can't believe this.
Oh no, that's a tough feeling when you think you lace it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it doesn't quite pan out.
Yep, missed all the object trees off the initial gap and get down there and just catch one of those last ones. It's kind of a tough break.
Laying it up for easy par there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees in the way if you get off at all on this one.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every hole in the course, if you're not in a good spot, it's you're lucky if you have a good look at the basket. Usually having to negotiate some sort of tricky approach. And there's Simon being automatic.
Knocked it down. That was a par save, correct?
Par save for Simon, yeah, with the early release, which he's happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was off early in the on this hole a couple times off to the right where he was, and maybe not as far back as he is.
Not pretty over there.
Not pretty at all. I mean, you can, if you see past the basket here, that's pretty much what you're dealing with off the fairway on the entire course. It's thick, it's not pleasant,
Right.
and you're probably gonna get poked by something. And hole 13 was kind of a tweener par 3, par 4, but still a good hole.
It was a cool hole, yeah. A small tunnel that you had to shoot out of, and then there's a really cool valley or tip right before the basket. Makes the green interesting.
I threw 2 practice shots on this one, and both shots with my champion strike, I laced them. One of them landed right at the bottom of the steps right here. It makes it hard for me to believe that it's actually 462 feet. I feel like this is probably closer to 420 feet, but that's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say it doesn't play a full 460, but I was never throwing anything fast at all off this box. I was just trying to hit that gap and give myself a chance to going up and down for the birdie.
There's Simon. I think, at this point, like I said, I think he's thinking to himself that he feels a little bit more control with that sidearm. Right now, he's kind of doubting his backhand. And on these backwooded holes, really the most important thing is just placement. And if you're not trusting your backhand, then sometimes just going a little pitch sidearm is the best way to go about. And, I think that's, if you have a good enough forehand that you can control little placement shots, that's a good thing to do when you're maybe not quite feeling the flow.
Looked like a couple of them kicked out left. This one's actually one of the more forgiving ones. If you hit and kick left on the tee shot, a lot of times it'll spit you out into the field and still give you a decent look at going up and down. I think that's what I did actually 2 of the rounds. Caught something and kind of kicked out to the left, and then was able to go up and down for 3.
This is one, man. I didn't like my shot at all. I knew it was straight at it, but you really just want to get it up on that top shelf. You don't want to leave yourself, and you don't want to hit those hills. The steps could roll you right back to the bottom, and you don't really want to make a 30-footer on this one.
Oh, I like that shot tracker.
Yeah, you got to watch.
That was a pretty shot.
That's about as good as it gets there from Barsby. We thought that was going in the basket for a minute. This one, Simon said, this one is almost impossible. And he almost made it.
That was a great attempt.
You do not want to be below the basket down there. There's just no lanes. So
it's a nice birdie for you there, Big Germ.
Yeah, I'll take it. Take it for a missed tee shot. 2 days in a row, I missed the tee shot, and like you said, just kicked out into the field. A little bit more forgiving than some of the other wooded holes, and managed to get up and down. And this is certainly one you want to get your 3 on.
I was feeling really good at this point in the round. That was our 7th hole, and I had actually managed to birdie all 7 of those.
I was gonna say, what's James Conrad doing on second card over here? What's going on?
Yeah, the disc was coming out of my hand really well. I was hitting the lines and making my putts.
Yeah,
It's fun to be rolling like that. It doesn't happen too often.
Well, when it does, it's always special to watch. This is a course that is engineered, like I said, for guys like us who come from the East Coast, where you have a lot more trees and a lot more wooded tunnel lines like this. And I at this point I was kind of just focused on what was going on with my card, and I was feeling pretty good. I was picking up strokes on Simon and Ricky, and I was just basically focused on what was going on there, and then I hear little whispers. James hasn't missed a hole yet. So I was started to get interesting. With you're only 3 back to start off, and I'd only missed 3 holes at this point, and I guess we're tied.
We're tied up right now.
Yeah, we're tied.
It was interesting having like a close battle like that spread out between 2 cards. Doesn't happen much. It's cool with all the live scoring and the way they were able to do some of the live coverage.
Absolutely.
I was kind of able to see it working out, but
yeah, this is just surprising. Rick's one of the thing that I think Ricky has improved the most on in the last couple of years is that for a while we knew that he could be erratic at times from the tee, and he'd always make up for it with his outstanding putting. Mm-hmm. And I don't really think that I have an advantage on the way that he throws anymore. He's put so much time into his accuracy, and yeah, that was a great bid there. But he's throwing the disc just as well as any of the elite players, and
still putting amazing.
And that was, Barsby for the par save from about 60, and man, he almost cans it and has a really tough comeback putt for his bogey. This is not the putt you want for bogey.
It's not, but he knocked it down.
Yep. And you can't really see from this angle, but he had a low ceiling too, and so he had to spin putt that one. That was a great 4 save.
Dang. It's a nice birdie there.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good at this point. This is when I started to feel like I was really separating myself, and my goal for the round was to shoot the hot round on lead card. And being in first place, if I shoot the hot round on lead card, I'm liking my chances.
Right. I actually saw, I think, on an article I saw that you had said that, and it might have been in my head a little bit, like, oh yeah, I think I
sure
can
it
take
was.
it. I can take it. Let's see him shoot the hot round, but
Yeah.
see if I can beat that by 3 or better.
Yeah, I was almost biting my words there. Well, we'll see. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting finish, that's for sure. Because at this point, like I said, we're tied, and
I actually missed this hole, so you might have taken the lead back by 1. I had a nice drive. I hit the line, but kind of rolled away down into the bushes. Had a similar tricky putt to what Barsby had, but wasn't able to convert it.
This is an interesting, man. I really like this hole. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to call it a par 5. We had a debate about this yesterday. I think it's just 2 clean shots get you your look at eagle, and I'm not quite sure if I think that that's quite long enough to be called a par 5. However, it's still a great hole, and man, is it punishing if you get off the fairway.
I agree. I was able to actually throw a T-bird all the way to the bottom, probably within 200 feet of the basket.
Wow.
And if I can do that on a tee shot, be within 200 feet, it's hard for me to justify it being called a par 4. But
You mean par 5?
A par 5, yeah.
Yeah.
It feels more like a par 4, but it is very punishing if you hit early, and there's plenty of stuff to hit, even in the fairway.
Regardless of the par, it's an incredibly rewarding 3.
Oh, yeah.
And even a 4 feels pretty good, even though I think that is kind of the par. It's just like a tough par.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Oh, that was looking so pretty.
Oh, man, we loved that off the tee. Right out of his hand, I was thinking Barsby just absolutely filleted it and just barely caught the edge of that tree, and not the greatest kick either. But this is something that Ricky's known for, man. He gets in trouble. Just scrambling, man. So every once in a while he puts himself in these bad positions, and you're thinking, all right, here I am. I got a stroke on him, and I'm thinking that off the tee. I threw as good of a tee shot as I can throw.
Yeah, yours looked really pretty.
And Ricky hits first tree, kicks straight into the woods, and I'm thinking to myself, this is easily a stroke.
Oh, that was a great flick from Simon.
Yeah. Give himself a little eagle birdie look, or beagle, if you will.
A beagle.
Yep.
Oh, that was looking good too. He's just been getting denied on this hole.
Yeah, he's thinking to himself, man, I just need to, can I get a break at this point? And there's Ricky's third shot, and look at him. He's on the green after.
On the green, looking for birdie.
Yep, putting for a 4, and He hit the first tree, so that's what Ricky's great at. And I'm just a little bit out of position, and caught the
Thing
top
was
of that
fighting.
tree.
Yeah,
It
it almost got all the way up there for you.
was looking pretty good, but I had a little layup there. I had a bush in my way. I couldn't really see the basket. And this is Barsby for his 4.
Trying to flick through the woods. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's just Barsby's just got his hand on his head right here at this point. Like, come on, give me a break.
Every shot he threw that hole looked pretty nice, but
Yeah.
just none of them quite got rewarded.
It's just
stuff.
sometimes it doesn't let you through.
Simon almost converted there, skipped it off the top.
And that was kind of my point for this being a par 4. Simon he threw a decent tee shot, but he still hit bushes early on, about 3/4 of the way through where his flight would have landed him.
Sure.
And he had another pretty good second shot. And now he's putting for eagle. And I feel like it's got to be a little bit more difficult than that. I feel like it's going to take 2 outstanding tunnel shots that were piped and hit nothing along the way for you to have a real legitimate shot at eagle.
Yeah, I agree with that. But as you're saying, the par is relatively irrelevant.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good hole. Like 4 is a solid score, whether that's a birdie or a par. It's a good score. In that
Correct. Doesn't really make that big of a difference, but either way, we come to the end of the front 9, and we got a good battle here, and maybe somebody from second card's gonna be making a move here and start putting a little pressure on the leaders.
That's the plan.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching the front 9 here, and we'll come at you shortly with the back.